Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. Today, once again, we are talking about the upcoming Brewfest 2022. Last show, we had Dr. Les Lockridge on, and he's here again via Zoom. Also joining us is the general manager of the station, Tod Pronto, who is also known as quite the Nashville legend. He's a singer and songwriter, and he will be performing at Brewfest. And just to let everybody know, I will not be performing because the event will go right down the drain really fast. Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Hey, just think, before COVID, we didn't even use this technology. Now we're all sitting in 3 different places chatting.
Yeah, if you can't do anything else, I think this is okay.
Yeah, I do. But talking about Brewfest, was it the year before last? Yeah, Brewfest was okay doing it like this, but it just wasn't the same. It wasn't the same for people watching music on their computer, on TV, and then just watching you and I drink beer. I think the live event last year was much better, and I think this will be great this year. So Brewfest, when is it?
At first, I want to correct something from our last show. This was terrible. You asked me which Brewfest this was, and I said it was the 6th. Turns out that's not even close. This is the 8th Brewfest. I don't know how I lost 2 years in there, but we got them back. So this is the 8th annual Brewfest, and it's going to be on Saturday, July 9th.
Right.
We have it at 8 o'clock at night.
I would blame it on your age, except for I'm older, so we can't blame it on age. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the music and that is going to be heard there. And Tod will be performing. And tell me about your group, Tod.
Well, my group is billed as Tod Pronto and one friend, but I've made 2 other friends since then.
Ooh, it's kind of like Facebook, huh?
Yeah. So originally it was going to be my trio because I play in a trio quite a bit, and the drummer couldn't make it. He had a prior engagement. I don't remember what it was, but it was something he couldn't get out of. So it was going to be just me and my upright bass player. And so the joke was we'd call it Tod Pronto and Friend. Now Les had a lot of great ideas for different names, but we ultimately went with Friend. But you've had her on your show. Kelby McManus has an amazing voice. She's going to be singing with me, and her father Steve is going to be playing the fiddle. So I guess it's a quartet that's actually going to be performing. So you got upright bass, fiddle, acoustic guitar, and harmonies. So it'll be cool. So it says I have 1 friend, but I'm there to prove that I have 3.
You have 3 friends.
You should change the group name to Toddley Crew.
The Toddley Crew.
That's a good one. I kind of like that one.
I will tell you, Kelby's singing and songwriting skills are just amazing. And she's 19 years old?
Just turned 19, yeah.
Right. And
her dad's been working with her since she could talk, she could sing basically. And he's just got her. She has this amazing ability. I don't know if she has perfect pitch, but I've worked with her and her dad before, and he'd say, sing a harmony at the 5th octave. And then he'd say, no, that doesn't work. Try the 3rd. And she can just do it like that. I have to sit there with my guitar and find the right note. So,
and by the way, Tod, I spoke to your father following the last show in which I suggested that Charlie, the mayor Pronto, goes on the show. Now go on and sing with you. And he assured me that will not happen because the genetics for singing did not come through his line.
No. You know, I don't think I've ever heard him sing. Ever. I've heard my brother sing like karaoke, slightly inebriated. I've never heard my dad sing, I don't think.
Well, it's almost the first time. Okay, so what other groups are performing?
Well, Mark Shelton, well known to everybody in the region, does a great Elvis show, fantastic performer, very talented guy in his own right. He's going to open the show for us. And then up next will probably be Mark Heyman. He's new to the area, but people who have seen him play can tell you he can really play guitar. And after him, I believe Todd is scheduled, Todd's group. And we're going to close it out with Cats Rockin' Country. A lot of you guys may have heard them down at the shows at Island Pond. So we've got a really great lineup. Got a lot of different kind of music coming in. And, you know, we will have more than enough music to go around.
Right. Now, since you have to leave the show early, Dr. Lockridge, tell us a little bit about the background and the purpose of Brewfest.
Well, the mission statement for Brewfest is the same as the mission statement for the Patient Caring Fund, which is the charitable part of our organization. They're a legitimate not-for-profit organization, 501c3, and the mission statement is to help cover the unseen costs of healthcare for cancer survivors and other patients of Orleans County and beyond. So it's a very flexible definition, which has served us very well because we've used the funds in a very flexible way. We've, of course, paid a lot of co-pays and paid for uncovered medications and things like that. We've, in certain circumstances, paid for things like dentures and glasses. The big thing now, of course, is gas cards. People need gas to get to their treatments, to get to their other consultations and tests. And of course, the price is challenging for everyone now. So we're utilizing the fund really, really well in that arm right now.
And the event this year is held at the barn at the top of the world. And it was
that one.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what you were pointing at. And it was held there last year, and I thought it went off despite less than perfect weather. It wasn't a washout, but less than perfect weather. It was a smashing success, I thought.
Oh, yeah. Last year had the worst weather we've ever had for Brewfest. Some of the worst weather you can really imagine for August in Vermont. But it didn't stop anybody. We were still packed and everybody had a great time. And a lot of that is the venue. The barn is just a great venue for an event like that. But boy, the view is the thing there. The outside is the place to be there. It's so beautiful. It's as beautiful a place as I've ever seen. And it's just real functional for us. There's a lot of places for the food vendors, for music, for dancing and beer vending and people getting out and around. And it's a really great scene up there.
Well, and there's also, I mention it every time now, there's also the chapel at the top of the hill, the church that used to be on East Main Street. And so if you two single men should ever feel inclined to get married during Brewfest, not together, but
I was just going to say, are you trying to marry Les and I off, or what?
yeah,
What's the deal here?
There's always the chapel there. So, but you know, just going up to the property is well worth well worth your time and money.
You know, I think that the chapel would be better served getting you and Penny married a couple more times.
Yeah, going on 37 years. Todd, you're very familiar with cancer because your mother passed of it. Do you agree that there's a lot of expenses that come along with cancer or any other these dreaded diseases that are not covered by insurance?
Yeah, fortunately, my mother worked at the time for the North Country Career Center. Prior to that, she owned her own beauty salon. But because she worked for the Career Center, she had amazing insurance, and it covered a lot more than some people are able to have covered. But even still, yeah, after she passed, I mean, I feel like my stepfather got a bill for $250,000 or something and remaining costs, and it's astronomical. And that's just medical costs. That has nothing to do with like what Les talked about, like traveling and, because I mean, my mother went to Birmingham, Alabama, because there was a specialist for the specific cancer she had multiple times, so that's not paid for by insurance to travel there. And yeah, it's quite a burden in upon itself, just financially. Yeah.
Right. And, now, as Dr. Lockridge said, is the price of gas. That's a different, I don't know. You get a $50 gas card now, and it'll,
get you to McDonald's and back.
What's that?
Get you to McDonald's and back.
Yeah, pretty much. So it costs a lot. I've been involved myself extensively with people battling cancer who have battled cancer, and I know the struggles. And from my perspective, I encourage people to attend this event because until cancer hits you, you probably don't have any idea about the expenses, about the struggles. So I think it's a great cause, and the people can use all your help.
I have a question for Les regarding, since Les is an oncologist. So my grandfather also passed of cancer in 2007, probably, and he was first diagnosed around 2001. And when he had bone cancer, and he had to travel to Dartmouth, 3 times a week towards the end for dialysis, which we now have a dialysis center here, but we didn't have one at the time. But he was the first person that I'd ever heard of in my life that I knew that was diagnosed with cancer back then in 2001 or 2002. And now it seems like it's such a more prevalent disease. Is it more prevalent, or is it just more recognized now?
It is more prevalent. In 2012, malignancy became the #1 cause of death in America, surpassing cardiovascular disease. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is we've gotten really good at treating cardiovascular disease, so people are surviving into older age and surviving to get cancer. And we've really, truthfully, we've gotten better at survival in just about every field of medicine. So the longer that you live, you're going to have more chances to get cancer. The longer you're going to be around for a potential event that causes malignancy. Also, we've gotten better at treating cancer. So people with cancer live longer, and that means that the prevalence is going to go up, since cancer patients aren't dying off at the rate that they used to, and it's being diagnosed as much or more than ever, you're going to have an increase in prevalence. So yes, for sure. Then what everybody always really wants to know is there something in our modern life that's causing us to get cancer? And, the answer is really unquestionably yes, but how avoidable that is, I don't know. A lot of the things that cause kind of untoward exposures are important for modern life that extends lifespans in other ways. Certainly, we want to think more about the toxins that we put into our environment and our day-to-day exposures. And I do see a little bit more consciousness of this kind of thing over the last couple of years. There's a lot we don't know,
right.
But human beings weren't designed to live with a whole lot of PFAs, for instance.
Right.
And I don't think that the jury is really back on exactly how harmful that is, but for sure, we didn't evolve to tolerate them.
Right.
And there's a lot of exposures like that in the world. So we have a higher prevalence than we did, and we'll probably have a higher prevalence in the future than we have now.
One thing, and I'm not dispelling that we have more cancer, I'm sure we do, but I also think social media creates the illusion that just about every other person has cancer, though, because of how connected we are now for good and bad. Because I know some people, some people post it all out there. And so it creates, because we're so connected now that it's, it seems like everybody has it. And one thing since I write history, the other thing is I have found, I think the word consumption, as in a disease, typically is tuberculosis, but not always the case. Sometimes it was when your body was being consumed by other diseases that they really didn't know. So there's probably a good chance, a good cross section of those were actually cancer before we had a specific name for it.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, I think you have to. Do you have any final words, Dr. Lockridge, before you go and save some lives?
I do have to run. Just want to reiterate, Saturday, July 9th, 1073 Upper Quarry Road, the barn at the top of the world, 3 to 8 o'clock Brewfest. $5 for kids, $30 per person, $50 per couple. A real bargain for Brewfest these days. There's one happening the night before that's $20 more in every category. And music, food, beer, it's great. If you haven't been to Brewfest, you do not want to miss this.
Right.
What's the forecast for the weekend? Sunshine, I hope.
Sunny and 77.
Good. I want to be.
77. Can't we go for a straight 80?
Oh, that's too hot for for subjects of the kingdom like myself. That's too hot.
Up there, though, if it's 80 degrees up there, it's probably 70, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always a nice breeze.
Yeah. I just want to play on the stage and nothing against being in the barn, but I want to look at that view while I'm singing.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do for you this year. We'll have the bandwagon up.
And Todd, talk to Danielle about using that chapel out.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, I've got to go.
All right. Let's see. Yeah. Thanks. So Todd, we're alone at our own devices. Is this something I think to be realistic, you're one of the unsung heroes behind the scene. Well, actually, you're one of the unsung heroes behind the scenes many times. And particularly with Brewfest, the first year we had it up there, was that last year? the first year, but you had to tackle the internet woes and such, and you managed to pull it off, with help. But I know, I think the first time you got involved in Brewfest, I think it was like, oh, here, come to the meet, and we got a couple things to do, and you ended up being the mule that carried the load.
Yeah, I don't go to any meetings anymore.
Yeah, because your name actually comes up when I used to go to the meetings. Oh, let's talk to Todd about that. And so next thing you know, you're one of those people like me. You can't say no, but I do know between your friend Devaney and your mother, I know you really believe in the cause.
Yeah, I've been involved with it one way or another most of those years, especially the year that it was all virtual. But I performed a few times way back at its humble beginnings when it was at Kingdom Brewing.
Right.
And I went through one hell of a monsoon one year. But yeah, anytime I do less benefits now than I used to, just because it's a lot of time and energy and generally it ends up costing you money. But if it's a benefit like this for Les or for Halo, I really have a hard time saying no. The only way I would say no is if I was out of town or something that weekend, because I think
if you were asked to go perform the lead in for James Taylor.
Oh well, yeah.
Because you already lead. What is it called for Livingston Taylor that you do?
Opening act.
Oh, opening. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I tell you that it's great that Livingston opens for you. So
yeah, that would be something, wouldn't it?
What do you think? Isn't the venue great though?
It's amazing. I'd never been up there until the virtual Brewfest in 2020, where we actually filmed all the bands up there. We ended up doing the show here in the studio at NEK TV just because of internet capabilities. But the first time I went up there, it's a breathtaking view. And the thing is, I took a bunch of pictures of it and I sent it to Danielle, and she said, wow, that's beautiful. And I said, these pictures don't even, I have yet to see a photograph that really captures how immersive of a view that is. It really can't be done. Every photograph makes the lake look so much further away than it really is. It's just, it's beautiful up there. And the church, which they moved up there, and then they put that glass door on the back wall. So when you're sitting in the church, you can see it too. It's incredible up there.
I chronicled the entire history of the moving of that church. And that was amazing because they pieced it up in a whole bunch of pieces and trucked it all up there. Now, I can tear apart anything. If you ask me to tear it apart, I can do it, but I can't put together anything. Well, they took that church, the crew did, and they put it back piece by piece, and they modernized it. They modernized it to a point to make it up to code and such, but they kept it, and they put the windows and such in the back so you could see the lake. But in most ways, it's the same church that stood on East Main Street in Newport for many years.
I'd never been in it when it was on East Main Street in Newport. But it looks like it belongs where it does now, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it really does. And it's you on East Main Street, you'd go right by it because of the way it was sitting. Most people, after it was gone, I know there was a fair number of people who just didn't like what was there. It just didn't stick out. And now, granted, you don't really see the church unless you go up up there, but still, it's a beautiful location.
You see it from the lake, though. We were out on the boat with my father's got a boat, and we were out on the boat with the family, and you look up there and you just see this church like up on this hill. It's crazy. It's like, what? It's beautiful.
Well, it's kind of like over the other side. You get this. Is it Saint Benedictine Monastery or something over on the Canadian side of the lake?
Oh yeah. It's been a long time since I've been over there, but yeah, I think you're right.
Right. All right. So the Brewfest is July 9th, which is a Saturday, and it begins at 3 and ends at 8. And I think
I bet it goes later than that.
Yeah. And as I always tell people, it might be Brewfest, but it's not like a mini Woodstock, or it isn't anything like the Fish Festival over at the Coventry Airport. It's actually a time for, good Vermont beer sampling and good local food. And as Dr. Lockridge says, it's also a good time for people, particularly who have survived cancer, who have cancer, to come out, and it's kind of like their day, and then everybody else joins in. So I know last year was an absolute success, and since Dr. Lockridge predicts sunny and 77 degrees, it should be even more of a success.
Yeah. Actually, one thing I think we should address, because I've had a few people ask me that have never been up there. They said, well, is it really hard to park up there, and do we have to walk a long ways? And the answer is no. Todd and Hillary put a parking lot in up there in recent years. So you actually park down by the church, and it's not very far away. And I don't know for a fact if they have the rides, but they usually can get you up to the top as well, right?
Yeah, last year at least. I don't know about this year. You got up there in horse and wagon.
Yeah.
You had a wagon ride up, and of course, if you're buff like you are, you can run up. Yeah.
Well, I told my bass player that I'd let him drive up and park behind the barn, and I would use the parking lot, because he's got an upright bass guitar, so it's taller than me. So I said, I'm not going to make him drag that all the way up the hill.
Every time I see one of those basses, I think of the guy on the Peanuts. What was his name?
I don't know who's actually playing that on the Peanuts, because Schroeder was the one that played the piano.
Yeah, Schroeder.
Right?
Didn't he play it too? Or was it?
Nah, I think it was somebody else. Because he played the little piano. He might have played it.
That's true.
Yeah. But that scene where they're dancing in Charlie Brown Christmas.
Well, I'm sure some listeners will.
Wasn't it Pigpen that was playing it? And every time you hit it, the dust flew off?
Possibly been Pigpen.
I think it was.
I think it was. Okay, well, I guess we ought to wrap it up.
I think that's the show. Yeah. I'm just double checking Les Lockridge's prediction of the weather. He might be right.
Yeah. Well, that would be really great, because even though it's because for the people who haven't been in the barn, if you're going to that used to be a regular working barn that was out in Coventry, and it looks just like the barn that was there, but it has been modernized inside, but not too much. It still has the beautiful rafters and such, as a great meeting area, great dance hall. it has so many uses to it. And they still have a hayloft too, the hayloft where you can walk up into it. And I think that's where the auction usually is, the silent auctions.
Yep, it is. Yeah. We actually ate up there last year. We got our wood-fired pizza from Pie and Pasta and sat upstairs, and yeah, it's beautiful. It's cool. I'm very excited. It's going to be a good one.
Okay, well, we've got to wrap this up. Thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for Dr. Lockridge, who is now gone, for coming on the show.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah, I look forward to attending, and I know you'll be there. You'll be making Nashville proud.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
All right, thank you for coming on. And thank you to the viewers for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.